This is CBS News Special Report. I'm Tony Dokoupil, coming on your air on this holiday Friday with this news. Tulsi Gabbard resigning as the National Intelligence Director effective June 30th. In her resignation letter, Gabbard said she's stepping down to take care of her husband, who has a rare form of bone cancer. Gabbard, of course, is a veteran. She's been vocal about avoiding foreign interventions, of which there have been a few. She is now the fourth senior member of the administration to leave voluntarily or otherwise in President Trump's second term. To help us understand this information, let's get right to senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang at the White House for us. Weijia, I guess no one saw this coming given the health news, but put it in context for us, and how will her time as Director of National Intelligence be remembered?
Well, Tony, you're right that we were not expecting the Director of National Intelligence to reveal that her husband was battling this illness. In that letter that you mentioned, she talked about how this is a very difficult and personal time for her and her family. But it is not necessarily a surprise that she is departing the cabinet, Tony, because she has had contentious moments with the president since she began her post here. And some of them were quite high profile. You might remember that during congressional hearings in March, she was pressed about why the U.S. went to war with Iraq. She testified to Congress that the U.S. intelligence community did not believe Iran was building a nuclear weapon, which was in direct opposition to President Trump, who later came out to say, frankly, she is wrong. There was another episode during which her deputy, Joe Kent, wrote a scathing letter in his resignation talking about his opposition to the Iran war. And Gabbard did not mention Kent by name. She ultimately said that the president makes these decisions, but she did not go against that deputy, who obviously was on the other side of President Trump. So there have been moments, including, Tony, our own reporting, that the president had floated the idea of firing Gabbard in the past several months. But this is a surprise, to your point, that she is talking about her husband's health and having to take care of him. We have not yet heard from President Trump, by the way, Tony. He is on his way to New York, where he will be attending a campaign event. But, of course, we are waiting for his reaction to this at any moment.
Yeah, and our thoughts are with the Gabbard family. I hope her husband's health improves. In the meantime, we'll deal with the politics. And on that, I want to bring in CBS News national security contributor Samantha Vinograd. She's been raised on the phone for us here. She was the Assistant Secretary for Counterterrorism at Homeland Security in a prior administration. Sam, how will this exit change the Director of National Intelligence position, the work, the responsibilities?
Well, certainly, Tony, Tulsi Gabbard has used her tenure as Director of National Intelligence to restructure the intelligence community apparatus overall, as well as the priorities that are guiding intelligence community collection and analysis. Early into her tenure, Tulsi Gabbard did eliminate various task forces, including on malign foreign influence and other related matters. And Tulsi Gabbard's focus on threats to the homeland have really been driven by a lot of domestic priorities, including limiting illegal immigration to this country, as well as the president's very strong focus, for example, on counter-narcotics and broader immigration-related matters. That was very clear in the worldwide threat assessment that she released, as well as other public comments that she has made. Certainly, as she departs, there will be a lot of questions about what a new director will focus on from a prioritization perspective, and most importantly, Tony, what kind of relationship the new DNI will have with President Trump. President Trump has had a complicated relationship with the intelligence community in terms of undercutting at various points the role that intelligence has played, when it comes to Iran, North Korea, and otherwise. So regardless of who the new director is going to be, the outstanding question is how heavily President Trump will rely on that director, because, as Weijia was pointing out, Tulsi Gabbard did have somewhat of a roller coaster relationship with the president.
Hey, Sam, this comes at a time when we're in a paused but still open-ended war with Iran. We have a situation in Cuba that sometimes seems to be moving from the back burner to the front. There's still Venezuela. It's a dangerous world out there. It's a big job. The president now has an opportunity to put somebody new in this role. Can you talk about how important the job of Director of National Intelligence is, particularly now?
Well, Tony, the job of the Director of National Intelligence is, unfortunately or fortunately, only as important as the Commander-in-Chief chooses to make it. Intelligence is only as important as the President chooses to make it. So, assuming that President Trump installs a new director that he trusts, the job of the ODNI, of the Director of National Intelligence, is critical. The Director of National Intelligence is not only responsible for ensuring that the president's daily brief, the intelligence briefing that the president gets every day, contains the most important intelligence analysis that the president needs to hear. The DNI is responsible for briefing the president at the top of every National Security Council meeting with the latest and greatest intelligence on a particular matter, like Iran, like Venezuela, like Cuba. But even beyond that, Tony, the Director of National Intelligence is responsible for not just overseeing the entire intelligence community, tens of thousands of people, tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, but also ensuring that our intelligence community has the resources, talent, money, technology it needs to remain competitive in an incredibly complicated geopolitical moment. So the Director of National Intelligence is not only serving, the president's intelligence needs, they're doing so not just by briefing the president, but by ensuring that the health of the intelligence community is adequate to keep the United States national security as high as it can be.
Yeah, and that's where the stakes of this continue to matter for us as a country here. Sam Vinograd, thank you very much. Weijia Zhang, thank you very much. The news again is this. The Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, will step down at the end of June, citing the health of her husband, who has bone cancer. Our coverage will continue on CBS News 24/7, your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Tony Dokoupil.